Take me home, cause I wanna feel like I belong. They relate to all this pain in my past, so they listen to my song. So let's go back to where it began and where it all started from. Take this chance, one last dance, cause I've been waiting way too long. Take my hand, I wanna show you something. Promise I've been dying to see ya. They say the grass ain't always greener. I guess what they're saying is true. In my dreams, that's where I seen her. Take my heart and take all of me, girl. Let me show you what I wanna do. I wanna spend the rest of my life with you. Are you listening, darling? Look where we started. Breaking in half, left us broken hearted. So where do we go from here? Are you listening, darling? Look where we started. Breaking in half, left us broken hearted. So where do we go from here? Where do we go from here? Yeah, where do we go from here? Are you listening, darling? Are you listening, darling? Are you listening, darling? Look where we started. Breaking in half, left us broken hearted. So where do we go from here?
Hello and welcome back, everybody, to another live stream. So it is a new week. It is Monday, the 23rd of September. And of course, as always, we will run through the Bitcoin technical analysis. We will, of course, take a look at anything you guys want to take a look at. And of course, please do put anything that you want me to look at in the or talk about, sorry, in the chat as well, and I will be more than happy to talk about anything you guys want to talk about as well. But yeah, for today's agenda, I guess we're of course, as always, going to run through the Bitcoin technical analysis. We're going to take a look at what's going on, what's happened, kind of over the course of the weekend. What I'm looking for next, all of the juicy stuff, right? So yeah, if that does sound interesting, please do smash that thumbs up button, subscribe, of course, if you are new to the channel, and make sure that you do turn that bell notification on, and we can jump straight on into the video and straight on into what yeah, we are looking at here, right? So yeah, over the weekend, okay, just some consolidation, right? Just some consolidation, little bit of a move towards the upside again. You know, what I was saying last week, right, was that we can be looking for $65,000. Okay, so originally, yeah, right, I was actually looking for $48,900. Okay, you know, sub 50K. Okay, this is kind of where I was looking for Bitcoin to go. Why? Okay, well, because this was the trend, right? This was very much the trend that we were looking at, and this was the, you know, this was what the most probable scenario was for Bitcoin, right? It was what the most probable scenario was. However, okay, price actually started to reverse. Okay, we then, of course, broke that bearish structure into bullish structure, right? As you can very clearly see here. And from there, that's when I started to say, okay, now we've actually invalidated this lower price target. We can look for $65,000. Of course, we did get that really nice long trade set up off of the naked point of control, the GP786. And of course, we had absorption down there. Unfortunately, I didn't get into that trade. Okay, but of course, we were planning this trade. This is a trade that I was planning with the team. This is a trade that I was planning here with you guys on YouTube as well. I was telling you that, you know, yes, okay, I would prefer to see a long trade from down here, but there is a valid long trade from this level here. Okay, and that's exactly what we got. And we got that really, really nice rise towards the upside. Okay, coming close to $65,000. So over on the weekend, we came very, very close to it. We came to $64,725 approximately. So very close to that target. And, you know, we are actually finding some resistance at this naked point of control at 60 hours. Tapped naked point of control now, but 63,775 is where we are finding very strong resistance. We do also, from my understanding, have a VWAP at that level as well. I think it is a VWAP. a VWAP from, is it the all-time high? Yeah, it's a VWAP from the all-time high. Okay, so we do have some resistance coming in here. We have had like a bit of an intraday setup, you could say, off of the swing failure pattern. But again, like I was telling the team this morning, right? This is not a swing failure pattern I would really trade. I understand the confluence now looks good. Okay, you can very clearly see a swing failure pattern on resistance. Okay, but yeah, what I am looking at here is, of course, the order flow. And in this order flow here, I just don't see enough long trades really up here to for me to comfortably enter into a trade, right? And I mean, the reason I say this is because, of course, right, this, I was telling the team this morning, right, yeah, we had a huge amount coming in here, 20 million, okay, but instantly half of those, like more than half of those traders, okay, got wrecked on this move down here, okay. How do we know that? We'll bring up the rec setting, okay. We can see the big green dot there, okay. That tells us that a lot of long trades have been wrecked, okay. We can see here open interest decreasing. We can see negative delta. So, of course, these are longs closing on this move down. We then take a look at, of course, this candle here. And we can see that the majority of the longs were opened up near the top of the candle, right? So they did get wrecked on this move down. So, yeah, okay, we had a lot of long trades open up here, okay, but half of them got wiped out pretty quickly, okay, and we didn't see anything particularly bearish in my eyes. So for me, right, I don't see this as a shorting opportunity. I guess, yes, there's the argument that there is a possible short from this level, but I guess that just comes from experience, right, and just, learning what you like to trade, right? And, this is not something I would really like to trade, right? Of course, if you got the really, really aggressive entry at the level, okay, you would have caught a nice little scalp trade, a nice little day trade, taking a TP1, TP2, whatever, move the stop loss to entry. Okay, great, right? But it's not a trade that I would ever take. So it's not a trade that I'm really gonna say that, okay, it's a valid trade, because it's not a trade that I would take personally, and I can only share with you trades that I take, right? Because that's what I know. I'm only trying to share the knowledge that I know. I don't want to share anything else, because I know what works for me. Okay, I know what works for me, and I do what works for me, right? I don't do anything else, because that is just kind of going against everything that trading is, right? You should be doing what works. You shouldn't be, again, like I say quite a lot of the time, right? I haven't changed my strategy in over a year and a half, 2 years, okay? And I probably won't change my strategy ever, right? Why? Because this is what works, right? Even if a new indicator comes out and, someone suggests an indicator to me, it's like, okay, great, I can have a little look at it, right? But is it really going to help? Is it really going to help how I trade? Not really, because I've already got it down, right? I already know how. I already know how to, get through these markets, okay, and extract profits from these markets, okay. And this trade here is just not really something I would take. So where I'm at right now is, okay, I would still rather see $65,000. That's still what I'm looking for. I still think price can get up there. I do still think we can see that. And then, of course, I've been through this loads last week, sorry. And of course, we've got confluence there, and this is confluence that I like, right? You can have confluence at levels, but it has to be confluence that you are willing to trade. Okay, yeah, right. You may find lots of confluence with lots of different indicators, but do they have any value? Okay, in my experience, okay, this confluence that we have here, for me anyway, doesn't really have any value. But at 65,000, between 65 and 67,000, the confluence there, that does have some really, really good value in my eyes. Okay, we do, however, need to see. We do need to see a little bit more confluence. Again, that of course is the order flow. But yeah, for me, it's okay. Right, I like that level. Okay, I like the confluence at that level. Let's just see what the order flow is like at that level. So again, it's just patience. we're getting closer, right? We're getting closer to $65,000, and like I said, I do still think we can. I do still think we can get to $65,000. I will just pull up the chat quick because I can see a comment has come in. Mr. FFS, what a nightmare! Good to see you back, my friend. Did you get the short this morning from 64,750? No, 64,750. So I'm guessing, yeah, the here. No. So yeah, like I've just been talking about, right? I did not take this short trade, right? In my eyes, it's in my eyes, I'd rather wait for $65,000. Okay, unless I saw something really bearish, then of course, I would have taken the front run of $65,000. I just don't see anything extremely bearish here. So I still think we can take out $65,000. Could I be wrong in that? Yeah, of course, right? But I know, again, going back to experience, right? I know from doing my statistics, from being in these markets for quite some time now, I know what trades work for me, and I know the trades that don't really work out for me. Okay. And that's one of those trades that I think to myself, statistically, looking at the statistics, it's like, okay, it hasn't worked out in my favor in the past. What has worked out in my favor is actually remaining patient and waiting for that bigger level for the higher probability trade setup. So, that's kind of, sorry, my dog is running riot. But yeah, that's kind of how I'm viewing this, right? It's okay, right? Yeah. There's an argument here, but I'd rather wait for that $65,000 level. And all it is a bit of patience, right? And that's that. This is a big problem with a lot of traders, right? They, they don't remain patient enough, okay? And then they come up with an excuse to enter into a trade, and it's like, okay, right? If it's drawn out, okay, I have a notepad somewhere. I think it's over there in the cupboard, to be fair. But I have a notepad, okay, and I did this a long time ago. But I writ down every there's loads of different entries, okay. I writ down all the different entries that I like to look for, okay. All the different entries, combining loads, all of the analysis that I use, right. And of course, right now, because I've been doing this for so long, I know all of them in my head, right. I don't have to, I don't have to look at a notebook anymore. But I know the trades that I take, okay? I know the trades that I take, and I just ignore the ones, okay, right, yeah, maybe there's confluence there. Maybe other people are looking at them, but, that doesn't influence me into taking those trades. And, again, that's a big problem with traders is they come up with other bits of analysis that's not in their usual analysis. They pull in new indicators, they pull in analysis from other people, and then they trade off of that, okay, because they're becoming impatient, right, with their setups, okay. So for me, it's right, okay, write down the setups that you take, okay, and only trade those. Do not get influenced by anybody else. Don't get influenced by anything else. And that's kind of how I'm perceiving this right now, okay. I'm understand, right, I know Jay Rogers, he was looking at a short trade from here, okay, over on the Discord, right? And he has an argument for it, okay, and it's fair enough. Like, and this is analysis that I would use as well. So we've got naked point of control there, we've got VWAP there, right? There's analysis that I use there for confluence, but it's not in my best interest to take that trade, okay? Maybe it's in somebody else's best interest to take that trade, but it's not in my best interest. My best interest is $65,000, right? So that's why I'm remaining patient. I'm waiting for that $65,000. Where I'm sure I've ran through this quite a lot. Of course, not today, but in previous live streams. But basically, right, we've of course got resistance up here. We have a high liquidity level up here. Okay, put ourselves into the mind of a retail trader, right? What a retail trader is going to be doing up here. Retail traders are going to be looking at this as a possible breakout, right? Retail traders are going to be FOMOing into a pump. Okay, so on a move up here, I'd be looking for lots of long trades to open up, coming into resistance, right? And then, of course, hitting into that resistance, we then get that rejection. Okay, we then form lots of trapped traders up there. Okay, we then also get the trade entry trigger on the failed auction, right? These are all the things that I want to see for this possible short trade to then see a big possible long squeeze down. Okay, where from there, okay, of course, we can be viewing this again as bullish market structure now. Okay, a lot higher time frame bullish market structure. Why? Because we've got continuous higher lows possibly forming, and by then, of course, we would have formed higher highs, right? So this is, of course, higher time frame bullish market structure, which I have to remind you we have not seen in a very, very long time. Okay, we have not seen this in a very, very, very long time. Yeah, okay, arguments. There's an argument here, right? Yeah, bullish market structure. Would I call this higher time frame bullish market structure? Not really. Okay, not really whatsoever. So for me, right, looking at this, okay, that for me would let's draw this a little bit nicer, right? Okay, this for me would be higher time frame bullish market structure. Okay, this right here, right. I've been very bearish on Bitcoin. Why? Because we've been in higher time frame bearish market structure. Okay, if we can now flip this to higher time frame bullish market structure, right, this can now fill us up with a bit of confidence, right, that we can get towards all-time high, okay, or possibly even all-time high. Right, it can fill us up with that confidence that we can look for that, right? But until we take out this high, we're not going to be sure. Okay, and then of course we're looking for that short trade, right? But like I've been telling the team, we would then be looking to keep our long trades open for a longer period of time and our short trades open for a shorter period of time. Exactly like previously, we've been keeping our long trades open for a shorter period of time and our short trades open for a longer period of time. Why? Because price has been making lower highs and lower lows. So you are favoring the downside. Okay, whereas if we're now in bullish market structure, forming higher highs and higher lows, okay, we're favoring movement towards the upside. Okay, so of course we can look for a pullback, but we want to secure TP1, TP2, stop loss at entry pretty quickly. Okay, we're then not looking for $52,500. Why are we not looking for $52,500? Well, because we would then be looking for bullish market structure, right? Yeah, okay, we could come down. Okay, we could go lower. I do understand that, yes. Okay, but right, for probability's sake, right, we're looking for a higher low. So what are we actually looking for? Right, we're going to be looking for a long trade in this area, okay, to then take that up for a higher high. That is the highest probability scenario. Okay, it is the highest probability scenario. Is it going to play out? We don't know, okay? But all I know is that that is the highest probability scenario, okay? And if I see everything aligning, right? So if I get the short trade set up from here, my dog is licking my toes. Right, yeah, if we get the short trade set up from here, we pull back, get to the naked point of control, okay? We get the long trade set up from here, okay? Then in my eyes, in my head, right, what's going through my head is that, okay, the highest probability move is then to go up for a higher high, right? Close or to $70,000, right? In my eyes, that is the highest probability, move. Sorry, that's getting really annoying. So yeah, for me, okay, if we do not, right, if that plays out, okay, that's the highest probability scenario that I see, right? If we do not take out this high, okay, and let's just say we pull back from here, okay, then I still think there is a possibility, right, that I still think, the option is open that we come sub 50,000, okay? If we can't form that higher time frame bullish structure, I think it's possible that we can still look for a lower low, okay? Where of course, there we have our own long trade setup. We have our own bullish scenario. Of course, we've taken, this long trade here. We've taken this long trade here. We've taken this long trade here. Okay. So if I saw the exact same setup that I saw each 3 of these times, okay, here, right, I would be taking that exact same setup again. Why? Because it's worked 3 out of 3 times for me. Okay. So I would be continuing to trade that trend. Okay. But where I am right now, where I'm, how I'm feeling in this market is that highest probability move is above 65K for the possible short trade, for then a possible long trade from here. Okay, we'll have to see how that plays out. We don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves. Okay, we may not, because we may not get the short trade from up here. We may just go straight up to 70K, right? Where from 70K we can be looking for the exact same thing. Right, we look for the exact same thing up here, okay, just for maybe like a bigger pullback, right? For bigger bullish market structure. Okay, that's how I would be viewing it. Okay, so yeah, I would still be looking for, right? I'd still be looking for a higher low. I would still, I would still be looking for a higher low, and I'd still be looking for a long trade, right? That would still be on the cards, and then we'd be looking for price to come up and form a higher high, which could be all-time high. Who knows, right? So that is, of course, this is like the short from $65,000 on a larger scale, right? That's if we do not get the short from 65, we go straight up to 70, get the pullback from 70, get the possible long trade on the higher low up to all-time high or near to all-time high at the least. Okay. So yeah, those are kind of the scenarios that I'm looking at, and again, it's just patience from where we are now. Unfortunately, it's a huge part in trading, right? It is a huge part in trading being patient. Okay, if you're not patient, if you're not a patient person, you cannot be successful in these markets, because you're then going to become impatient. You take lower quality trades. Lower quality trades leads to losing money in these markets, right? So yeah, patience is a very big thing, and that's exactly what I'm exercising right now. Okay, right, I understand. I've missed the long trade here. I haven't entered into a trade since the 27th of August. Right, I know it's been quite some time. Again, if I got the long trade from here, I would have entered on the 6th of September. Okay, I would have had a trade from the 6th of September, which would have been really nice. Okay, but that's not how it's played out for me. Okay, unfortunately, this happened when I was asleep. Right, that's fine. I look for that next best possible trade setup. Like I said, it's from $65,000. If it's not from there, it's then from 70,000 roughly. So we will see how that plays out, of course. Yeah, quick look at the stock market. We're still pretty high up on the stock market, still just under all-time high. So this is, of course, just generally going to be quite good for Bitcoin, right? Stock market increasing, stock market all-time highs is just generally going to be pretty good for Bitcoin. Like I say a lot of the time, stock market dumps, Bitcoin always follows it. Stock market pumps, Bitcoin follows it sometimes. It doesn't always, most of the time, it doesn't always follow it. But it has been following it recently. So if we can continue to see another push up in the stock market, okay, I would expect Bitcoin now to follow it. Why? Because Bitcoin has been following it already, right? Bitcoin has been following it already. So for me, okay, it's a no-brainer, right? We would be looking for higher prices there. Yeah, again, patience, remaining patient. Okay, not really too interested in anything else. And yeah, I know it can get boring, right? It's a part of trading. It's a big part of trading. Patience, getting bored. Trading is a lot of waiting around, unless you are, I understand, okay, more of like a scalp trader. But I think, yeah, that's just not how I trade, right? That's not how I trade. And especially for beginners getting into trading, I think scalping is the worst possible style that you can get into. And even day trading, I think it's not as bad, I don't think, as scalp trading. Scalp trading is the worst because it just creates this addiction. I've been there. I've been addicted to what I thought was scalp trading, but I was just randomly taking trades off of useless indicators. So yeah, for me, scalping is the worst thing. The easiest thing and my favorite thing is like swing and intraday trading. That's even for beginners, that's the best thing. I understood when I got into this game, I had a full-time job. When I got into this. I could not scalp trade. It was only until I managed to leave my full-time job, because I managed to turn trading into my full-time job, is when I started scalp trading. And yeah, it just didn't, I'll be honest, it didn't really end up working out for me. I wasn't making as much as I was when I was intraday and swing trading. Okay. And, I find it a lot easier to I would expect it to be a lot easier for people to get into because, you know, you're not required to be behind a laptop 20, well, I say 24, but between like 9 o'clock to 5 o'clock in the evening, whatever markets you're trading, right? Yeah, you're not required to really be at the computer at any certain time. It's pretty, you know, you're pretty lenient with it, right? You can set your alerts, you remain patient, you wait for your levels to be tapped. Once your levels are tapped, your alerts go off on your phone. You can walk to the computer and you can check what's going on, and you can act on what's happening. Right? It's kind of my preferred thing to do. You know, I like to also keep myself busy doing things during the day. But you know, it is boring at times. Like, you know, I have to be honest, it can get boring at times, but you know, that's why I try and keep myself as busy as possible during the day, so that I'm always doing something. I'm not just sat around waiting for possible trades. Again, setting alerts is a very, very important thing. I can see another comment that's come in, so I'll just take a look at that. Mr. FFS, what a nightmare. Isn't there a CME gap on the downside for the S&P 500, though? So potentially gap fill on the downside, BTC price will drop. Yeah, where is the... Yeah, so we do have a gap here. And I mean, okay, yeah. Having a gap, right, the majority of the time we do tend to see the gaps getting filled at some point, right? At some point. It's not necessarily... You can't look at a gap. You can't view a gap as, okay, price has to come and fill this, because, you know, we still have gaps from much, much lower prices that we've never, ever filled. And we probably will never, ever fill them unless we see a huge stock market crash again. Like the one in 2008, right? But yeah, it's like it doesn't have to happen now. It's something to be aware of. That's how I see it. You know, CME gaps, it's never ever something I would trade unless it's a huge gap, right? If it's a huge gap, okay, fair enough. There's a possibility that you can trade that, right? But yeah, in terms of where we are here, it's like, okay, let's just look at this previous one as an example, right? Let's just draw this one out here. Okay, right. What did we do? We filled it. Yeah, we filled it. But look how long it took. So 17th of June, when did we fill it? Okay, we filled it on the 24th of July. Okay, so it's been, you know, it was quite some time until we filled it. So yeah, how you have to perceive this is, you know, it's not a requirement to fill it. It's not a requirement to fill it now at this moment in time. The probabilities of it being filled are pretty high. Yes. Okay, but yeah, it can take its time, right? It can take its time. Sometimes it can happen pretty quickly. Okay, other times it can take its time, right? So yeah, there's something to, yeah, it's just something to be aware of. It's not like we can't look at that and we can't say Bitcoin's gonna, well, stock market's gonna dump, Bitcoin's gonna dump, right? We can't view it as that. We have to, of course, we have to like see some weakness up here. Of course, I don't trade the stock market, so I'm not really looking for any weakness up here. But you know, on Bitcoin, again, you know, this would be it, right? This would be the scenario where we possibly come and fill this gap, right? What would that scenario be? Well, that scenario would be, let's take out $65,000, show some signs of weakness, okay, get the short trade set up, get a pullback for the higher low, okay. Whilst Bitcoin is forming that possible higher low, the stock market, of course, has filled that gap, right, to continue this bullish structure that it's, you know, that it's in, to continue higher, right? That's kind of how I would be looking for it, looking at it, right? That's how I would be looking at it. So yeah, again, right, you know, that, I guess, you know, you can even look at that as confluence for the short trade that I'm trying to line up here, okay? If I do get the short trade set up from there, and you know, maybe we take a look at the ES, maybe we can see some signs of weakness on the ES. ES is pulling back maybe as well. You know, then, you know, we have confidence that, okay, right, we could possibly see on a statistical basis, on a probabilities basis, we could see, you know, that gap being filled, right? It's not, of course, 100% that we're going to fill the gap, but you know, there could be a high chance that we fill the gap, and on that, right, we can of course take advantage of that with that short trade setup that we're lining up. Okay, so yeah, that's kind of how I would view it. It's not something I would trade, but it's again, it's just something to be aware of, right? It's like PDV setups. I used to trade them a lot more when price was, when price action was a little different to what it is now. But yeah, they're just nice to be aware of. PDV setups are nice to be aware of, like CME gaps are, and just nice to be aware of. If data comes out in coming weeks, USA could enter a recession, then that could cause S&P to nuke. Exactly right. Recession, of course, is really not going to be is very, very bad for the markets. We've seen this quite a lot as well. I was trying to find the tweet the other day because I did want to show it. I know I don't show many tweets or any news things, but it was something that I wanted to look at as well, because I'm sure you guys would have been interested in it as well. But it showed every time the Fed decided to pivot, and it did cause a pretty hefty crash in the markets, right? And it seemed, Fed's pivoting now. It's like, okay, right, are we going to see this again? We've seen it so many times before. So, can we see the markets have a huge crash again? But then it's like, okay, right, how's Bitcoin going to react to this? Are we going to see Bitcoin, absolutely smash all-time highs? Personally, I don't think we're there with Bitcoin yet. I think, we're still very correlated to the stock market. So I'd expect Bitcoin to follow it, to be perfectly honest with you. Nuke's a bit strong, but a bit of a drop. yeah. I mean, it could end either way, really, to be perfectly honest with you. Recession, talks of recession. I wouldn't go quite as far as nukes it, right? Yeah, I'd call a nuke as like taking it back to like 20,000, 15,000 pretty swiftly. That's kind of what I'd class as a nuke down. But yeah, I'd say, talks of a recession, and confirmation of a recession, that would bring price down pretty harshly. I really would not be surprised by that at all. Really not be surprised by that. And there are lots of signs. There are lots of signs of it. Again, I don't ever go into that stuff because, of course, like I say it all the time. Like, yeah, okay, I acknowledge that stuff. I do sometimes read summaries of stuff, and I get people's perspective on what's going on in the world, because it's just nice to understand what is going on in the world. It's always good to understand what is actually going on in the world, and how you could be affected if these certain things play out. But again, I never let it affect these, okay, which is the charts. I never let it affect anything that's going on there, because again, going back to my experiences, right, when I was trading and I allowed news to influence my trades, that's when I would miss trades. That's when I would take more losses, okay, and things like that. So that's my opinion on it anyway. Nuke equals March 2020 COVID crash. Yeah, yeah, I would 100% agree with you there. I can't put a sad face to that, to be honest with you. I'm guessing you might have been in the markets if you're putting a bit of a what is that? Is that more of a sweating face? I don't know, but yeah. I was quite happy about the March COVID crash, only because it benefited me quite a lot, because that's when I got into the markets, right? So yeah, that's that's for me anyway. But there may be people here who've been in the markets longer than me, okay, and have been investing longer than me. I understand I am still fairly young, right? But I've dedicated a lot of time into this, and thankfully I've done well off of it, right? But I understand, yeah, that COVID crash, that probably hurt a lot of people, right? A lot of people. But what you have to remember is, for every person losing money, someone makes money. Okay, for every person losing money, somebody is making money off of that person making money. Whether that be a whale, whether that be an institution, whether that be a retail trader, whoever it may be. Whoever, everybody getting wrecked. Okay, there's always somebody profiting off of that, and yeah, that's how I make my way through these markets, right? How I navigate through these markets. I look for when people are about to get wrecked, and I take advantage of that, right? It's a horrible way to put it, but that's basically what it is. But I've come to terms with, it's quite easy to spot when a huge portion of the market is going to be wrecked, or it's quite easy to spot when a huge proportion of the market has already been wrecked. And it's then quite easy to get into a trade, in my opinion, anyway. Of course, all of this is opinion based. This is what I find works for me, right? So that's all I can really share. But if you had you can imagine the crying faces. I think I just lost connection there for a little bit, but yeah, I like that. Yeah, would not have been a good couple years for them, would it? But yeah, 2020. So that's when I started investing into stocks, and I mean, again, it's like I didn't know what I was doing. I got very lucky, right? I invested into Tesla. Tesla went up massively. They had a stock split. Tesla went up massively again, and I made some money in that. And then I found out about Bitcoin, so I put it into Bitcoin. And then what did we have? We had this whole bull run up to, what was it? Just under $70,000. So yeah, it was and then a very, very good year and a bit, and then it all came crashing down when I started leverage trading. But yeah, thankfully I've built all that back up and more. So I've been in those, I've been those crying faces, those crying emoji faces. I'm sure we all have. It's just about getting through that stage, because everybody has to go through that stage. Nobody comes into these markets and instantly profits. Okay, yeah, maybe someone is very smart about it, comes into these markets, paper trades, right? Paper trades, just pretends that they take the trade on a piece of paper, and then once they finally realize that they're profitable, then they start trading. Okay, yeah, maybe they come into these markets and be profitable, but they've done it a smart way because they've technically been trading, okay, but they just haven't been trading with money. That's a smart way to do it. I wish I did it that way, but I didn't. So I learned the hard way. I find that always the best thing for me in life anyway, learning the hard way, because it makes sure it ensures that you never do it again. Tesla rescued me from my 80% loss from oil. Yeah, I won't repeat that, but yeah, I'm sure you can see. Tesla did really, really well. So yeah, you were one of those crying faces getting whatever you said, by COVID. Yeah, so it's a tough time. Everybody's in these markets from themselves, right? And everybody is going to get wrecked at one point, at some point. Okay, unless you buy at a very, very good level and you don't sell for 2 years, and you see a huge increase and then you sell and then you say you're never going to trade again, then okay, right, you can't lose doing that, right? But it's, again, this game is very addicting, and that's kind of what hooked me to this. It was addicting. I think at the start it was more gambling to me, right? It was a little bit, I never ever gambled in my life, but I think I was gambling with these markets when I first got into these markets. And yeah, looking back on it now, it was very, very dangerous. And I'm glad that I was trading with the amount of money that I was trading, even though it wasn't a small amount of money. But looking at where I am now, it's like, okay, right, at least it was that much. At least it was only that much. But it still wasn't a small amount of money. And I say this because of my age as well. I understand I'm still quite young, so for me, it was a lot of people, and for a lot of people, it would have been a lot of money that I lost. I remember telling my friends, and they just looked at me. Telling my friends how much I lost, and they just looked at me and they couldn't believe it. So yeah, I guess you can take from that what you please. But yeah, it wasn't the best day of my life at all. You're too young to remember. Bird flu from the Chinese, which did in the 2000s and the 2010s. Yeah, I mean, I was around then. I was around in the 2000s. I was born then. But yeah, I was only a little baby. Sweeney flu. Not the swing flu. Okay, Sweeney flu. No, yeah, I don't. Yeah, I guess I'm too young for that. I was around, but yeah, I was too young back then. Yeah, I was probably still in a pushchair. But yeah, I think, to be honest, I'm going to leave that there. Keep it nice, short and sweet. I don't want to blab on for too much longer because I've talked about everything that we need to focus on, right? And it's just patience, right? Patience. Let's look for $65,000. Do we get the short trade there? If we do, great. Okay, we can look to take that down. And then possibly get a long trade. If we do not get the short trade, okay, from here, then right, it's looking to $70,000. Well, I love the confluence up there as well. So it's like, okay, let's look for the short trade up there as well. So yeah, that's kind of how I'm looking at it right now. Patience is key in these markets. Patience, consistency, and executing your plan to perfection, right? Again, like in life, right, I guess nothing can be perfect, but I think, perfect execution of trades is possible. Perfect execution of reading the order flow is possible as well. I think that's one of the very few things in life that can be quite perfect. If you know what you're doing, you can find the entries, you can get the entries, but it does require patience, right? So for me, it's patience, looking for $65,000 for that possible short trade. That's the next best possible trade I see. Unless we just get a huge crash from here, then I'll be looking for a long trade from like 47,000 possibly. So yeah, that's kind of how I'm looking at it. So yeah, I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, please make sure you smash that thumbs up button. Helps me out, helps the channel out, and I can continue to bring this content to you. And of course, I will be back tomorrow for the next live stream. And for any Visionary members, of course, I'll see you in the Discord if you want that. It's the first link in the description. So yeah, take care, guys. I will see you tomorrow. And yeah, have a lovely evening. From myself here in the UK, it is 8:20. So yeah, it is the evening for me. But yeah, have a lovely rest of your day, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Take care. Goodbye.
Take me home, 'cause I wanna feel like I belong. They relate to all this pain in my past, so they listen to my song. So let's go back to where it began and where it all started from. Take this chance, one last dance, 'cause I've been waiting way too long. Take my hand, I wanna show you something. Promise I've been dying to see ya. They say the grass ain't always greener. I guess what they're saying is true. In my dreams, that's where I seen her. Take my heart and take all of me, girl. Let me show you what I wanna do. I wanna spend the rest of my life with you.